shaking my voice, good afternoon, sir. Before I said another word, he said, if you ask me, there ain't a man alive that's good enough for my daughter. If you ask me if I'll ever be ready to let her go, no, I'm not gonna. But she told me you're the kind of man that'll love her right her whole life and never leave. If my blessing's what you need, she made me promise I'd say yes if you asked me.
It's the Old Boots Podcast with Justin Kelly and Laura Starling and our special guest, Logan Crosby. Hey.
How are you?
Good to see you.
What's up, Mr. Logan? Appreciate you coming out to Jones County, man.
I'm happy to be home. It feels good to be in Middle Georgia again.
Oh, yeah.
Great. Thank y'all for having me. I have listened to you on the radio for a long time.
Aw.
Yeah. And I've ate at your establishment multiple times, too.
There we go. That's always a good thing, man.
Well, you can't come to Jones County and not go to Dairy Queen.
No. The best one, the best one in the country?
Yeah, that's the busiest one on the face of the planet right now.
That's what I was told.
Yes, sir.
Number one Dairy Queen in the world.
There you go.
So you're from Milledgeville.
Yes. Born and raised. Well, I was actually born in Macon at the Coliseum Hospital, and grew up in Milledgeville. My dad was in law enforcement. My mom was a pharmacy technician. But I lived there first 18 years of my life. Have a little sister. My parents still live there. She's in nursing school at UGA. But yeah, I've always done music. That's kind of been my thing. So thought I wanted to be a lawyer. Got to college. Figured out real quick I wasn't going to be a lawyer. So I started playing bars and clubs and writing songs, and it's got me to where I'm at. I'm sure we'll get more in depth with that, but yeah.
We definitely will. But when did you start playing music?
Well, being, I guess, from the South and growing up Baptist, I was singing from the time I was about 3 years old in church. So did that, and then when I was in high school is really when I started to do it. Started playing piano, playing guitar, playing in bands, playing in worship bands at church, writing songs. So really started doing it when I was in high school, and then had my mind set on being a lawyer. So when I went to Kennesaw State for a year up in North Atlanta, I was very focused on school. Then realized that I wasn't going to be a lawyer, so I picked it back up kind of when the pandemic hit and we had to move back home. And ever since then, it's just all I've done.
But you graduated from UGA?
Graduated from UGA, transferred over there my second year of college. And then while I was there, every weekend playing bars, clubs, sorority parties, fraternity events, parents' weekends, I'd come back to Middle Georgia and play people's weddings. I'd play fundraisers. I would anywhere that would let me play, I wanted to go. So I played so much growing up, in college. So it was fun. It was great. Some days I miss those days, whenever you just get to sit on the back porch and play music and, you don't have to worry about checks and paying the band and commissions. But yeah, that's kind of how it all started for me.
And when you went to UGA and you decided you weren't going to be a lawyer, what did you major in?
Political science with a minor in communications. I love to talk. Which you'll see, because I'll talk for 3 hours if y'all let me.
That's what we're here for, man. Let's do it.
So I've taken so many public speaking classes. My advisor called me and he said, hey, man, if you take one more, we'll give you a minor in communications. So I took one more and that was it. But yeah, political science. When I figured out I didn't want to be a lawyer, I was already so deep into the degree I wasn't going to change it. But I didn't really go to a whole lot of class once I figured out I wasn't going to be a lawyer.
You were out playing the bars.
I was out playing the bars and clubs.
Fraternity parties.
Which was fun. I mean, I got paid, so it was better than going to class, I'll tell you that.
No doubt. The fraternity parties, were they able to ever pay you some big bucks, or you just kind of wanted to do that?
Oh, no, they did. I didn't realize until, I started talking to I wasn't in a fraternity, but started talking to the guys that were in a fraternity, how much money that they have.
Right.
And I said, well, why are you only paying me $250? Because I know how much money y'all got sitting back there. So
there's a lot of rich moms and dads pouring money in those fraternities every month.
And they love Parents Weekend when I'd play, and then I'd get paid, and then I'd put out a tip jar too. And I was like, well, we're going to get the best of both worlds here. It was great. I remember one we were doing, it was for Fiji up at UGA, and I was supposed to play 2 hours. I played 2 hours, and this group of parents came up, and they said, well, you need to play longer. I said, I'll play longer if you give me some money.
Right.
And one of the dads pulled out $500. He's like, is this enough? I said, brother, that'll get me 2 more hours. I was
How long do I need to stay, baby?
I said, and you give me the set list for the last 2 hours too, brother. So it was fun. I had so much fun when I was at UGA. That was at the height of, them being great at football, winning those national championships.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun to be a student there, but I was not a great student. I won't lie to you. I was straight C's for 4 years. But
hey, you got the degree?
I got the degree. I don't know where the diploma's at.
Right.
They've never asked me before I went on stage if I have one, so I haven't went and found it yet.
Well, talking about being a student, we were talking about before the podcast, one of my buddies who is now a coach at Jones County, he said, I told him who we were interviewing. Man, I was his teacher, blah, blah, blah. So you went to what high school was it?
John Millage Academy. I went there from kindergarten to when I graduated.
Okay.
Yeah. And shout out to Adam Gilhouse,
There you go.
wrestling coach and middle school science teacher. He was great. I hadn't seen him in a minute, but Adam's great. He's a great guy.
He was excited to hear that you were on the podcast this year. So today, for the recording. So that was pretty awesome. And so during high school, I guess there were events and stuff. You knew you were good with music. Was there some stuff in high school that you did while you were out at JMA, or you were still kind of having to do the?
Yeah, I actually, funny enough, I always kind of sang, but nobody knew I sang. And we had prom. My sophomore year, we were the servers at prom, and I was skipping class, which is something I did a lot. And I was standing in the hall, and the 2 teachers that were the sponsors for prom walked by, and they said something about writing a skit and needing somebody to sing. I said, well, I'll sing. He said, well, you don't sing. I said, yeah. Well, what do you need me to sing? They're like, well, the prom that year was like Mardi Gras thing. They're like, can you sing House of the Rising Sun? So just in the middle of the hall, I was like, just sang a little bit of it. And they said, all right, well, you can do it. So we went out there and, on that Friday night, and I sang House of the Rising Sun, and then sang every national anthem at the football game since then, and started playing at, assemblies and all that stuff. So that was kind of whenever I really started taking it serious when I was in high school, and then started leading worship at the churches that I went to and writing songs and playing parties and stuff like that. So really high school is when it was, more or less apparent that I could sing a little bit. And I wanted to move straight to Nashville, and my mom had a conniption, and so she made me go to college. So, which she's glad I have a degree, and I am too, but I don't know where that paper is.
Yeah, you're like me. I got one too, and I don't think that it'll do me a hill of beans. But and it didn't do me a hill of beans when I was in the corporate world, and I had a business degree, and I just didn't have anybody that could steer me in the right direction and know that I needed to either go to work or get a specific focused degree. But at least you got something to fall back on.
I got something.
There you go.
Something.
You also got a guitar to fall back on.
I do. I hope that's what I fall forward
there
on.
You go.
But if I have to fall back, I guess I got a political science degree. I think the only thing I'm qualified to do is teach high school civics. So I don't know if that's what I want to do. But if it is, hey.
There you go.
Hopefully the music will work out. It's working pretty good right now. So we'll pray that it stays that way.
Do you have a natural ability, or did you take some lessons, or?
Singing wise, I've always just sang. I took guitar lessons for about 3 weeks with this guy in Milledgeville, and I was just trying to learn rhythm, acoustic guitar. That's it. And like the 4th lesson, he pulled out an electric guitar and an amp. He said, "Today you're going to learn how to shred." I said, "No, I'm not," and just got up and left and learned the rest on YouTube. And the best way to learn any instrument, in my opinion, is just play.
To do it.
Just do it. So that's when I kind of started sitting around with friends, and they'd play the drums and electric guitar and bass, and you just got to kind of pick it up. So that's really where I learned most of it. But yeah, when he told me I was going to learn to shred, I was like, "No, brother, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to do that." I was like, I don't think I can shred an electric guitar like that.
Piano, is that natural?
Piano was pretty natural. Guitar's the easiest one to learn, but piano, had to work on it a little bit, but it's also, you just kind of pick it up, the more especially in Nashville too, like with the Nashville number system and the way that they do music up there, it's real simple. Kind of once you learn a little bit of music theory, it's, kind of easy to pick up, but I practiced a lot for it. But we play it live in the show. I play piano live in the show. Somebody had made the comment one day in the band, they're like, "What if we just put it in the tracks?" I was like, "We're not going to put it in the tracks. We're going to learn to play it because we're musicians." So
right.
I play everything live. So we pride ourselves on the road in doing that. We sing all the harmonies live. There's nothing in the track. So it's nice to do it that way. But I'm like, boys, we're musicians here. We got to learn. If you don't learn how to play it, then why don't just tell them to go listen to the record if you're going to play it like the record?
Right.
So we have fun with it though on the road. We have a blast.
So just for fun, tell me, and I know what it means, but give me a detailed explanation of playing the track.
So the track is like you take whatever the record is, and they're called stems. So when you go record the song, there's all the files, like the drum and lead guitar, second guitar, third guitar. So you take them, you load them into, like whatever session, so on the computer, and then you can take parts of them out. So you'll take like the lead vocal out of the track, and you'll take the electric guitar out of the track, the drums, and then everything else is left in there.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I know it's I didn't know what it was for a long time.
Yeah.
I just thought you just play it live. So
technically, if you had a complete track,
mm-hmm.
you could go and play, you could go and sing and maybe play your guitar part,
mm-hmm.
and it'd still sound like a full band.
Yes. In theory, you wouldn't get the feel of it, but
right.
yeah, it would sound the same way. At that point, it's just like karaoke a little bit.
Yeah.
So, and I'm not in the business of doing karaoke,
there
so
you go.
I was like, we got to learn how to play these parts, boys. But yeah, it's and when you're playing like big, massive, stadiums or big rooms, it's like you definitely need something to kind of fill some of that dead space. But if you're somebody like Chris Stapleton with an 11-piece band, you don't need tracks. They play everything live.
Right.
I saw him one time and he turned around and he's like, "Boys, we're gonna do it in A tonight, not G," and they just started playing, and that was it. He's great.
That's having some incredible musicians behind you.
Oh, for sure. Nashville's full of them.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, you can walk down those roads and walk into any little bar, and just because they haven't been discovered yet, there's some people that are on those little stages in there that are absolutely amazing.
Great players and singers. And there's so many guys that have, I think it was Keith Urban that played at Legends every night when he was coming up.
Oh yeah.
Played on Broadway, and that's how he came up. And I got a lot of buddies that have played on Broadway and went and got great gigs with touring musicians or record deals or publishing deals. And Nashville's just full of great musicians.
It's so funny that you were talking about Chris Stapleton, and I think he played the Capitol Theater downtown. And like 6 months later, we're watching him on TV,
mm-hmm.
on national TV.
Oh yeah.
So I always encourage people to go see musicians when they're in town, because you don't know if you're looking at the next superstar.
Right.
You never know.
Very much so. I remember seeing, when I was a kid, maybe 4 or 5, going to see, besides Jason, we went and saw Zach Brown Band.
Mm-hmm.
They were playing in Lake Oconee. And then it was same thing. 6 months later, they won a Grammy for Best New Artist. And I was like, I just saw them on a patio.
Yep.
And my mom was like, yeah, we did. And I was like, now they're winning Grammys. So it was crazy. It was crazy. You never know what's going to happen in this business. It's
That's
insane.
true. So after your mom had a conniption, made you go to college, and then when you got out, you decided to move to Nashville.
I graduated on a Friday, and that Sunday, I drove up and moved in with Barry Williams, my uncle, who's been on the podcast, and lived with him and Vivian for 6 months, just kind of going back and forth from Georgia to Nashville. And Barry helped me set up a bunch of rights with people and get in the studio for the first time. And Barry's a great guy, as you know, but just really kind of helped guide me in the early part of my career. And then I was on a TV show called Claim to Fame that summer while I was living with them. It was on ABC and Hulu. It was about being related to celebrities. So obviously it was my connection to Jason. And that show we didn't know it was the first season. We had no idea if it would be anything. And it became one of the highest rated shows on ABC that year, and then the most streamed show on Hulu that summer.
And you were in the top 2, right?
I got second place.
Second place.
Second place. So I was on all 10 episodes, but it really, that kind of, it gave me enough of a platform to go get an agent and to go get a manager and kind of put me on TV. But I mean, the thing was, I'd been doing music and playing bars and clubs and all that stuff down in Georgia for years. So just moved to Nashville and started doing music full time. But yeah, I lived with Barry and Vivian for 6 months. And then right when the show went off, I decided, no better time than the present. So I went and got a lease on an apartment that I couldn't afford because I didn't have a income at all. And then 3 months later, got a publishing deal with 50 Egg Music, which is owned by Luke Combs, Jonathan Singleton, and then a Macon native, actually, Tally Canterbury. Her parents owned, what did they own? They owned a jewelry store. Bo Giles is her dad. I don't remember what it was called, but it was in Macon. She went to FPD.
Okay.
And so she owns that company with them. So got a publishing deal with them, and then just kind of started from there, writing, more songs and putting out music. And what was that, 2023? And then went on the road with Megan Maroney for a year and a half, starting that spring. So first show I ever did with her, it was in Statesboro at the Blue Room. 650 tickets, sold out in 13 minutes, so they moved it in the parking lot. Ended up being 2,000 people.
Wow.
At that show that night. But that was her first, big headlining tour. And man, we were playing. I remember we played in Knoxville, and it was like 250 people sold out this club. And then, the last show I played with her was last summer, and it was in Spokane, Washington, and it was 5,000 people.
Ooh-wee.
Her career has really
She's taken off for sure.
taken off, and she's great. We kind of knew each other because she went to UGA too. And so obviously with Athens, there's such a great history of music, but country music wasn't massive in Athens at the time. It's gotten a lot bigger now, which is great. But she was kind of like the resident country artist in Athens. And then when she graduated, I became the resident country artist in Athens. And so we just kind of knew the same people, and they were like, y'all need to meet at some point. So we met up in Nashville at Spotify House in 2022 and became fast friends. And when she put out Tennessee Orange and it took off and she planned that tour, she called me and asked me to go on the road, and we did 3 tours together.
That's awesome.
She's
and
great.
That song, Tennessee Orange, I mean, that is a kind of song that puts somebody on the map.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're never going away after
Nope.
a song like that.
Nope.
When you get a song like Tennessee Orange. And of course, now she's big buddies with my buddy, Kenny Chesney.
Kenny Chesney.
Kenny Chesney. So I know he starts his residency at the Sphere this coming weekend, and I'm wondering if she's going to make a guest appearance.
I'm sure she will.
Yeah.
I'm sure she will. I don't know. I'll have to
They have a
text her.
single out together now.
Yep, they have that single, which is a great song. I remember when they showed me that song for the first time, I was like, well, this is a hit. I was like, this is a hit right here. So He's great. I wanted to get to one of their shows last year on tour, and everything was routed so crazy that we couldn't make it to one, but I'm going to see her in a couple months in Charleston. Kenny's a beach guy, so maybe he'll show up. I don't know. It's Charleston. Maybe he'll
show up.
Maybe he'll drive his boat up there.
There you go.
And dock it and come up and play some songs.
You never can tell with him.
You don't know. He seems like a great guy, but I'm super proud of her. She's just absolutely killed it the past couple of years, and she deserves all that's coming for her. She's great. She's been a good friend of mine.
So when somebody gets a publishing deal, is that enough to pay the rent?
Barely, but it's enough. But it's the biggest thing obviously in music is touring, and we sat down when I moved to town, and I made the decision just because I'd played for so long in bars and clubs, and also I mean if you look at every great artist out there, I think they just have toured, and obviously we're in such a weird state with music right now where virality's the buzzword, and you have to have a viral hit on TikTok or whatever to be successful is kind of what they say. But we just sat down and said, no, we're going to go build this thing on the road, show by show and fan by fan, because I think that's how, if you look at guys like Kenny and Jason and Keith Urban and even Stapleton, I mean those guys started playing in clubs, and if 15 people showed up, they gave them the best show that they could give those 15 people. And then the goal was, when you went back the next year, have 30 people and 60 people the next, and build it that way, brick by brick, is kind of what we say. And so I really decided that we were going to do that we were going to focus on touring. So I've made, that's really what pays the bills, is touring, publishing, and especially with streaming and all of that coming up, there's not as much money as there was, in the day where it was, CD sales and radio play. And so, yeah, we've just really built everything on touring, which I've loved. I mean, we've gone to some cities some nights and played in front of 75 people in a 200 cap room, and I was like, I don't care. Give them the best show they've ever seen in that 200 cap room that's half full, and then go back the next year and sell it out.
Right. That's motivation. It
is. It's just, I think that the biggest thing with it, and I was talking to somebody about this morning over coffee, is, the grind. I feel like sometimes the grind has gone away from the business. I mean, because Jason, he started playing bars when he was 14, and he didn't really take off till 2005 is when Hicktown came out. I mean,
Hicktown was the song that did it for him.
That was the song that did it for him. But it's, when that, and me and him have talked about it at length. I mean, he was like, you have to go and build something on the road that's undeniable. And that was his, he's given me some great advice over the years, but that was probably his biggest piece of advice to me was just go out there and play. Mm-hmm. Just go play the shows and build something that's so incredible live that they can't say no to it. And so we've prided ourselves on doing that the past couple of years, and I've had so much fun with it. We've been all over the place doing it. And so that's just kind of how we look at it. Just go play the shows and give them a great show.
Well, when you go do a great show and people come out and see you, then all of a sudden they will start following you on social media. Mm-hmm. They're looking at your TikTok. They're looking at your Instagram. They're following you. And do you make any money on your social media?
Not really. No, it's kind of the way that they have it set up is you can't make a ton of money off of it if you're like an artist on TikTok. So when you start putting your songs up, it's kind of crazy how they, sometimes can get away with it, which is where I think last year or maybe the year before, I don't even know, Universal Publishing, I think they took all the songs off of TikTok just because they weren't,
generating any income.
Generating any income. You weren't getting paid for it. But, yeah, it's a crazy, crazy world. But, I mean, the thing about social media is, and I grew up with it, because I remember getting, Facebook when I was in middle school and all of that stuff. And it's a great tool. It is a phenomenal tool to promote your music and promote your tours. But if you can't live and die by social media, I mean, it's even a couple months ago when they said they were going to ban TikTok. It's like, well, if you would have built your whole entire career around one social media platform, well, buddy, I hate to break the news to you, but it's gone, and
right.
So I don't really believe in building a career around an app that could be pulled off your phone at any moment. So we go and we just work hard on the road and we make, records and we go and do it that way. And it's so funny because in Nashville they call that the old school way now.
Yeah,
and I was
old
like,
school.
The old school way is going to play? Yeah. And they're like, yeah. I was like, oh, that's news to me, brother.
There's no substitute for that process, though, man. I think that builds character. That builds a true following. If the only following you have is like a social media non-physical following, then I don't think that's healthy for you, man. I think the long-term committed listeners are listening because the way you're doing it. You're on the road and you're going to connect with them.
Oh, yeah. I think that's the only way to do it. And, I mean, if you put, 100 people in a room, well, the next time those 100 people are going to bring 2 friends. So now that's 300 people, and they're going to listen and they're going to like it. And you just gotta grow it that way. I think that's the way to do it. And I love that process. I mean, because we just got on a tour bus. We've been out on the road. My first tour bus was a Toyota Camry, but I tell people.
Real nice. Real nice.
Real nice. Yeah, I had a friend when we played that show in Statesboro with Megan. I had a friend I went to high school with. She texted me. She says, "Can I see your tour bus?" I said, "Well, I just showered in the basement of the SAE house at Georgia Southern, and I'm driving a Toyota Camry." I was like, "There is no tour bus to see." I was like, "You can Google a Toyota Camry, and that's
right.
I promise it ain't
that's what it looks like."
Yeah, but we just got the bus, which is nice now to have a bus and be able to sleep because for years we were in the back of a church van, and everybody was sleeping on the benches, and then when whoever was driving would get tired, we'd switch, and somebody else would drive, and then we'd sleep. But I love those days and those stories. I mean, there's nothing that can replace that. You can't replace that with anything else. I mean, hell, we had a van burned down on us. We were going from...
I remember that. That was like last summer, wasn't it?
Last fall, yeah.
Yeah.
We were going from...
You were in Louisiana?
Mobile, Alabama.
Okay.
Because I'd called you about coming by that day and doing, something. And then I was like, well, we're not going to get there as quick as we thought we would because we're looking at this van. But yeah, we were leaving Mobile and van had given us trouble and it started making a noise and we looked up and it was on fire.
Wow.
And we got in there and we pulled I thought, because I guess I'd never been in a fire for a vehicle. I thought they just exploded. That's not what happens. My dad was in law enforcement 32 years. So he was like, "Hey boys, chill out. It's not going to explode." So we went in the van, got all the clothes, shoes, all the stuff that was in the van, stood on the side of the highway. He said, "Let the front 2 tires pop. And when they do, we're going to go in that trailer and we're going to get all the equipment out. When the back 2 pop, we're going to go in and get all the merch out." And that's what we did. And man, that's rock bottom when you're sitting there and you're looking at your van burned down and all your equipment's on the side of the road in the ditch 45 minutes outside of Mobile, Alabama.
Ooh.
Yeah, it took the volunteer fire department in Rabun, Alabama 45 minutes to get out there. By the time I called 911 and I said, "Hey, our van's on fire." We got all the stuff out, called them back 45 minutes later. I said, "Hey, I was like, just note it in your report that the van is gone. I was like, but there are brush fires breaking out all over I-65 if y'all want to get here as quick as possible. And somehow we got the trailer on a wrecker, and then we took the van. I don't know where they took that van. It wasn't mine. We rented it from some guy
I'm sure he was happy.
Well, he didn't take care of it, so we called him that night, and he. Anyways, I won't get into that because
the only reason I said
there's lawyers involved.
It's making me think about one of my favorite movies is Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. And when John Candy and Steve Martin are sitting on the side of the road and that car is burning up, that is the vision I had in my head when you're telling me this story.
That's what it felt like. That's what it felt like.
Because he goes, well, they're going to be. When he finds out that when Steve Martin finds out that John Candy has rented the car under his name or whatever, and he's like, well, good luck returning the car. So good luck returning the van.
That's how it felt. I don't know where that van ended up, but somehow we got the trailer on a wrecker, got it to a U-Haul, got all the stuff put in a U-Haul. We drove in my tour manager's brother who was taking pictures for us at that show. We drove in his Mazda 3 to Milledgeville. And they drove that U-Haul through the night to Milledgeville, and we were 8 minutes late to sound check.
Wow.
That was it. And we still put on the show, sold out. I was like, hey, man, this is a sold-out show in my hometown. We can't miss it.
That's right.
I was like, of course, the night before is when the van's going to burn. But those kind of stories, though, I mean, those are the fun stories to sit around. I still, when we go on vacation, me and Jason, we sit around and we just, trade stories because they got crazy ones, too. Because, I mean, they were in a van for 15 years.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's just all kinds of great crazy stories about the road that you're not going to get, if you just sit at home and post on TikTok and wait for something to happen. So I tell people all the time, I said, I may not be the biggest artist in Nashville, I said, but I'm probably one of the top 5 podcast guests. I said, I'm only 24. I said, I've seen some stuff to be 24 out there on the road. So I got stories for days. It's fun, though. It's fun.
Well, and, having that bus, though, that's a motivator in itself. It's a number one, it kind of reminds you of, hey, this is how far I've came. Mm-hmm. Number 2, it's a motivator of a lot of those buses are $8,000 to $10,000 a week to push down the road. Mm-hmm. So that's a motivator to go even grind harder to sell more and do more and do whatever you got to do. So that and then it's a motivator because you actually are able to relax and rest and give even a better performance than what you were having to do in the back of a Toyota Camry.
Right. Yeah. Yes. But the first thing we did when we got that bus was we got a big picture printed of the van on fire and hung it up in the front lounge.
There you go.
So you don't ever want to forget where you came from.
Exactly.
So that's where it was. We hit rock bottom and bounced right back. So I was happy. We're blessed. Right. We are blessed.
There you go.
So you're going to be coming to Macon September 20th, I believe is the day of the show. Opening for Cole Swindell and who else is on that show?
Priscilla Block.
Yeah, Priscilla Block.
Yeah, Cole's great. I've become friends with him over the past couple months, and when he asked me to be on that tour, it was awesome. That'll be my first, arena amphitheater tour that I've ever done. So it'll be great, and being able to go to Athens and then also Macon is just going to be awesome. I can't tell you how many shows I've been to in Macon. I grew up. I remember missing school some days because we were going to see Jason play at the Coliseum over in Macon back in 2005, 6, 7, and it'll be fun. It'll be a great day. My whole family's coming, grandparents, aunts, uncles. You know how it is when you play the local show. Everybody's going to show up.
Everybody's got to show up.
Absolutely.
It'll be real fun. It'll be good, and I'm excited to get into that new amphitheater. I haven't been over there yet, so I've heard it's just great. So I can't wait to be over there and get to play. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Macon, I love playing in Macon. We played a couple times in Macon, but this one means a lot to me. I ain't going to lie to you. So it'll be fun.
Those tickets are on sale now, by the way. That show is September 20th, Atrium Health Amphitheater, and you can get your tickets at Ticketmaster. So how many comp tickets do you get for a show like that?
I need to ask my tour manager. I don't know, but
because everybody in your family's going to want one.
I know. Probably I'm praying 25. I think that'd be a good number.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a good number. Yeah, I still got some family that reach out about getting comp tickets to my show, and I'm like, hey, man, those tickets are $12.
Right.
It's fine. It's okay. It's 12.
I think you can afford that one.
Those would be a little bit more, but yeah, when we played that show in Milledgeville, I had third and fourth cousins texting, and I was like, who is this? I don't even have your number saved. I'm like, I don't know. I can't do nothing with you now, but they're $12. But these tickets are a little more. But yeah, I'm sure my mom and dad, they'll probably have some friends show up, but I'm excited for it. It'll be a great show. And we were supposed to do a show at Capitol Theater,
Yes,
in Macon a couple of weeks ago, and then had to, because we were playing that one with Cole, had to pull that one down and replace it with Cole's show. But I think I know the turnout will be about,
Yeah.
9,000 more than it would have been for mine. So I'm not too upset about it. Not too upset, but I told the band as soon as we got that email that we were on that show, I said, y'all better learn Midnight Rider by the Allman Brothers. I was like, because if you think I'm going to go play in Macon and not cover the Allman Brothers, you are crazy.
Absolutely. You got to be ready for that, man.
gotta do that.
Gotta do it. One of my favorite bands. And Macon's got such a great history of music. It's just insane. And I tell people all the time, whenever I'm on podcasts or interviews all over the country, I'm like, yeah, man, we grew up listening to, obviously, Jason, coming out of there. But then Otis Redding, the Allman Brothers, Little Richard. There's just so much great history of music in Macon. It's great. So I'm excited to be back and get to play there.
What does Logan Crosby like to do when he's not on the grind or on tour? What do you like to do that doesn't have anything to do with music? Do you have any kind of hobby? Do you like to play ball? You like to do any kind of thing like that, man?
Well, in the fall, it's all college football,
right?
UGA football mainly. So watch a bunch of that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't know. I hadn't had a ton of time off lately. So when I had a good bit of time off in October, November, December last year. So I came back to Georgia, spent a bunch of time with my family. I got 2 godkids that live over in Monticello. My grandma lives in Monticello still. So I like to just hang out with my friends and my family. And we really don't do nothing. Usually we just kind of sit around and tell stories and talk. When I'm in Nashville, I hang out with some friends. I like to read. I know that sounds crazy.
No, I think that's wonderful.
I like to read, especially because, they told me I couldn't read, good enough to go to law school. I said, well, I'm going to show you, buddy. So I've gotten into reading. I love to watch movies, just like old movies. There was a whole list. So when I was out on that TV show in L.A., there was a lot of questions about pop culture that I did not know the answer to. And it had to do with a bunch of movies. So I got given a list from some of the producers of about 250 movies that I needed to watch. So I'm still working through that list. So I like to watch movies and read. And I'm real low-key. I really don't do nothing crazy. I'm usually so tired when we get off the road. I like to go to the house, take a nap, read a book, watch a movie, go to bed. I'm a real simple guy. I ain't going to lie to you.
Nothing wrong with that, man.
No, real simple.
What are you reading now? Anything special?
I'm reading this book called Letters from Pluto. It's about this guy that was from England that moved to New York City that moved to the Mississippi Delta. It's a great book, but he just kind of tells a story about, moving to the South from, essentially Britain and how great the South is and, so many things that he's learned from the South. And so that's a good book. I like to read stuff like that. I'm not real big into, I try to read some classical literature, but I don't really...
It's kind of boring sometimes.
Kind of boring. I like some real stuff, but next thing on the list is is Born to Run, the Bruce Springsteen autobiography. I want to read that at some point. There's a couple of things I got on my list to read, but yeah, I read more now than I ever have, which is kind of crazy to think about. But again, boring guy right here.
So on that list of 250 movies, what's been your favorite?
Oh, let's see. What did I watch a couple weeks ago? What's the one about the band with Tom Hanks?
Yes. I know what you're talking about.
Thing you do. That thing you do. That thing you do. I watched that one, and I had never watched that, and I loved that movie. What was the one that had? I think it was Meryl Streep in it, and they were going up and down a river. That one. I don't know. There's a bunch of movies on there. No,
I'm missing that one.
It's a good one. But yeah, When Harry Met Sally, a bunch of rom-coms, which, aren't my favorite thing to watch. So I've kind of skipped, that portion of the list here of late. But yeah, all kinds of stuff that I didn't know. Shawshank Redemption, I never watched that. There's all kinds of things I'd never watched.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a fantastic
and so
movie.
I'd call my dad every time I'd watch these movies. And I go, hey, man, why didn't you ever show me this? And he was like, I can take you to where we were sitting when we watched that. You just don't remember.
Right.
I was like, oh, sorry, Dad. My bad. That was my ADHD kicking in. But yeah, I've gotten into some movies lately. But yeah, that's really all I do on the road. I like to get on the phone and talk to my family. So, like I said, just simple guy.
Nothing wrong with that.
Any girlfriend?
Uh-oh.
No, I don't have one. I think I'm too busy to have one. Somebody asked me that this morning, and they said, you ain't got a girlfriend? I was like, no, I don't think I could be in a relationship yet because I just got so much going on. I don't want to be in a relationship if I can't give it 100%.
You got to go a lot of places in the next few months.
Uh-huh.
And I can imagine that being in a relationship while you're on the road traveling the country would be a hard thing.
Yeah, it was this first tour we did this year was with Alexandra Kay, and we were gone for 55 days straight.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, so I could just imagine leaving Nashville and going like, all right, babe, I'll see you in 3 months. I don't think that would go over too well. I think that would end in a pretty big argument, so I'm just going to leave that alone. But, yeah, no, I ain't dating nobody. My grandma asked me that all the time. She said, when you going to bring somebody around? I was like,
I think everybody's grandma asks them that all the time.
I said, Nana, whenever I have 5 seconds to do something besides play shows. She was like, all right, fair enough. Fair enough. My sister's boyfriend, though, he's great. He's been around for 5 years, so I think she's fine with that right now. So,
Very
but
good.
yeah, she's my little sister's great. She's not into music at all, but she just got into nursing school at UGA. So don't get sick in Athens. I don't know if she. I wouldn't. I love her. She is one of my best friends, but I don't want her near me with a needle. I'll tell you that.
Oh, man. So we talk about a lot with the podcast. We try to stay on a positive note. And a lot of times we talk about doing different type of charity work or charitable things. And a lot of times, sorry about the dog attacking y'all there.
Oh no, we love dogs.
So pretty.
A lot of times, charity and concerts, they kind of go hand in hand. Can you remember something big that you done for a charity, or one of the biggest like charity events that you were a part of that kind of rings a bell in your mind?
Yeah, we haven't done there. I am not like associated with the charity yet. Kind of in the process with my business managers of figuring out, a good one to go with. But what I do, what I am passionate about is teacher appreciation, and then early childhood education, early childhood literacy. I had so many great teachers when I was coming up, going to John Millage. I actually went by and saw one of them, or 2 of them today, that I just remember had such a big impact, because I was the kid that would not sit down, and every single report card had, Logan talked too much this week. He's in trouble on it. But they let
Sound
me
like my report card.
I know, but they kind of let me be that wild kid just because I was so creative and had so much going on. So teachers, hold a special place in my heart. So every semester, I try to find a teacher that is either a fan or a friend or somebody that I know that has a class, and go and read to the class and sit and talk with the class. I actually just went and did one Monday up in Nashville. A fan had reached out, and she asked if I could come by and read to her class, and I was like, I would be honored to. And so anything that has to do with teacher appreciation, I love, just because there were so many great teachers in my life that I had. And, the day that the TV show I was on came out, I spent most of the day calling all of them that I had their number and just thanking them for, encouraging me to be myself and to chase my dreams. And I was like, if you turn your TV on tonight at 10 o'clock, there I'm going to be. And that's not because of me. That's because the people that were around me that kind of let me, talk too much. And I was like, they did pay me a lot to talk a lot on TV, so thank you. But yeah, so anything that has to do with early childhood education and teacher appreciation, I'm real big on. And I don't know if I'm sure that there's a charity that has to do with that. I don't know. I have to find it, but I'd love to do something for them if I can. But
I can tell you, we're pretty involved, me and Laura both, with the Children's Miracle Network, and so is Jason. And I think I speak for the Children's Miracle Network when I say they would love to have you.
I would love to go do it. What's the name of the children's hospital?
Beverly Knight Olson Children's Hospital in Macon.
I know Jason's raised a bunch of money. He loves that place. He's been
a lot of money.
Yeah, he has been super supportive of that place, and Jason's super charitable. But that place holds a very special place in his heart. I can say that. I think I can speak for him on that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, he's a big giver to it. Big giver. You can actually drive down Jason Aldean Way when you pull down through the Children's Hospital right there.
When was that show? When did they dedicate that to him? Was that 2018?
It was somewhere right in there, yeah. When he did the
2019.
the last concert at the Coliseum.
At the Coliseum, yeah. We went to that.
Yeah, that was a special concert right there. That was awesome. That was Lauren Elena and Jason, and I can't remember who else.
Yeah, I can't remember who else. Was it? I can't remember. I don't know. I've been to so many Jason Aldean concerts. I've seen so many folks open for him. I'm going to the one in Nashville in a couple months, so I'm excited. I didn't get to see a show last year, but I'm going to make sure to go to one. He's one of those, every time I see him play, and I tell him this all the time, I'm like, man, it's crazy. It just gets better with time. I mean, it's just so good. I mean, it's like he's one of those guys you think, he's hit the stride, and then as you see the next year's show and you're like, well, that was better than last year's show. He's just so good in concert. I tell people all the time, I'm like, if you've never seen him play a show, you got to go see it. It's insane.
I mean, we went to the little bitty Macon Grand Opera House. I don't know how many people was in there, 300-400.
It holds 900, I think.
Okay. So it was a super small venue for him. He rocked that place hard, and then the next night sold the amphitheater out. Rocked that place. All people could talk about for a whole week was Jason Aldean and how he just melted that place. So he's definitely getting better and better and better. He's definitely not hit his plateau or anything like that.
I don't know. He's one of those I don't think he ever will. I mean, he's just – and it's great, for him to be my cousin, because the one thing that he has just been so good about, to me is just anytime I've ever called him, he's answered the phone, or called me right back, and just, he's never gone out, and because me and him talked when I moved to Nashville. He's like, hey, I'm not going to, put you in my pocket and, take you to all these places and help you get all these things. He's like, but if you ever need any advice, just call me. And I've called him about stuff, and he's always got the best advice, about deals and should I sign this, or do you think this is a good tour? He's been so great to me about all that stuff. He's awesome. He's a great guy.
He's definitely a good contact to have in the Nashville culture.
Real good contact. Real good contact. I can say that for sure.
What you got, Ms. Laura?
I just want to tell everybody to get your ticket to see Logan somewhere. You're in Athens. You're in Macon. I saw some other dates too.
Yeah, right now we're in the middle of my headlining tour. I mean, we're hitting the Northeast. So if anybody on here is listening from New York City, get your tickets. But I think with Cole, we're in Lexington, Kentucky the night before we do Athens and Macon. I got to do it. We hadn't announced it yet, but there's a show in Milledgeville that we're going to do, like a surprise kind of pop-up thing in October. Tickets obviously aren't on sale for that, but we got a crazy year, and then we just booked another tour at the end of the year that I think will be in Georgia twice on it. So I don't know those dates, but LoganCrosby.com, Logan Crosby on social media. I post all the time about where we're going, so you won't miss it unless you're just not looking, I promise. But I'm excited to be back in Middle Georgia. It's where I grew up. This place holds a real special place in my heart, so it's going to be fun to be back. It really is going to be great, especially the city I was born in. So
you can find all the dates, all the shows at LoganCrosby.com.
Absolutely. And hey, I can tell you this, the day you guys come in town to play, if you just so happen to be here that morning, I know a guy that will bring you the world's greatest breakfast, blizzards, the best coffees, everything. We'll meet you at WDEN, and we'll get you guys on.
I think we can make that happen.
Yeah, I think we can do it.
You're probably going to have to go to the amphitheater, though, because they're rolling in from Athens. Will you leave that night and come on into Macon?
I'm sure we'll probably leave at 2 or 3 that morning and get there and park backstage. Yeah. Well, if not, I promise you.
He can bring you breakfast to the bus.
Yeah, we can do that.
Breakfast in bed? My goodness. You didn't
For you, I will.
I said the bus.
You didn't have, well, the bed's in the bus.
The bed is the bus.
The bed is the bus. Yeah, no, that would be great. I'd love to do that. But yeah, let me know. I think I know a guy too.
Yeah.
I think we're talking to him. So
let's do it.
I like my coffee black with 2 ice cubes in it to cool it off a little bit. I'm not high maintenance whatsoever. I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you'll find me middle bunk. Passenger side on the bunk that's where I'm at. Just knock.
Well, I feel very confident you guys will sell that show slap out. Y'all, I know you guys are going to rock it. Cole Swindell puts on an awesome show. You're going to just light that place up with him, and it's going to be a big time.
And we are so appreciative of you making I know it's not that far from Milledgeville to Jones County, but still, of taking time out of your time with your family to come on out and hang out with us.
I've loved every minute of it. Like I said, I've listened to you on the radio. I remember sitting in the back of my mom's Honda Pilot listening to you on WDN. So it was when you reached out, I was like, yes, ma'am. You do not have to ask me twice. I will be there.
That's awesome.
I will be there. And y'all I'm sure I'll see you backstage.
Well, I don't. If can I get that Logan Crosby backstage pass?
Yeah. Just text me.
Well, then there you go. I thought people didn't really do backstage too much anymore.
Oh, I love backstage. I love having people backstage. I got in trouble at a show in Savannah. Not in trouble, but the promoter was like, we weren't having a party, but just all my friends from college and my family were back there. And he said, I've never seen this many people backstage. And I'm one of those people. I don't have a pre-show ritual. I don't need the room cleared out 15
Right.
minutes before we go on. One of those guys, if I'm standing beside the stage and there's a security guard standing there before we go on stage, I'm like, hey, man, what's your name? You got kids? You like working there? Like, I just like to talk to people. So the more people backstage for me, the better. I can tell you that.
All right, then.
More energy. We'll remember that, too.
Heck yeah.
Yes, I got your cell phone number, so you won't get rid of me now.
No. Call me whenever.
Well, if you're listening or you're watching, make sure to go to Ticketmaster and get those tickets for any of his shows. But make sure to make sure Macon sells out. And if you guys don't have anything else, we just want to remind you that if you can do something good, you should do something good. And we'll see you on the next podcast. Thanks, guys.